Okay, that day we created multiple containers using Docker Compose. I'll quickly do that exercise again. Okay, so we'll be doing three exercises today. So as you can see, the first one, Docker Compose multi containers using Docker Compose. No, this one. Create two containers, one for Nginx and other for MySQL using Docker Compose. Then Docker file and Docker Compose for an HTML app. And the third one will be multi containers using Docker Compose. So all three are almost similar. Okay. So why we need Docker Compose? Using Docker command, we can create a single container at a time. Okay, using Docker Compose, we can create multiple containers. Okay, using a single YML file. So to install Docker Compose, we'll use this command apt get install Docker Compose. Okay, so we can see the Docker Compose is installed. Now to create a Docker file, we'll create a directory inside which we'll create that particular Docker Compose file. Cat docker compose.yml, and to start the containers, we have to just run the command docker compose up -d. D means run in a detached mode, so that terminal will not be occupied. So what is happening here is it is installing two services. One is Nginx and other one is MySQL. So first it is downloading the Nginx latest image. Then after downloading the image, it will run the container, Nginx container, and it will bind the local host, that is the DevOps VM port 8080 inside the container on port 80. But for MySQL, we are not using any port, only just for demo purpose. We aren't mapping any port. We are just downloading the MySQL image 5.7 version, and at the time of installation of MySQL, we always need a MySQL password. We need to set a MySQL root password, kind of a admin password, and that password we are setting as a my password. So using a single Docker Compose file, we are creating two containers. So after creating Docker compose.yml, we just started the containers using Docker Compose up. And if you want to check the status, we can use the command docker compose ps. Okay, it is showing that both the containers MySQL and Nginx are up and running. And if I do curl localhost, okay, 8080, I can see the default Nginx pages displayed here. Okay, and similarly, we can see so even though we are using Docker Compose at the backend, okay, it is using Docker only. So it will also list the containers using docker ps command. So the two containers are running which have these IDs. Now to go inside the MySQL container, we'll use sudo docker exec -it, the container ID for MySQL, bin bash. Okay. Now after entering the MySQL, if I do MySQL, it will not give us the access. We need to provide the password. So the password was my password. Okay, so we are connected and we can also see the databases using show databases command. Okay, so this is how we created two containers, one for Nginx and other for MySQL using Docker Compose. And we can see that sudo docker compose ps will show the containers. Sudo docker ps will also show the containers because at the backend it is using Docker only. And if we want to see the images, It also downloaded Nginx and MySQL images. Okay, so this was a simple exercise for creating multiple containers using Docker